Yeah guys, I'm recording on a different camera right now, so just let me know what you guys think of it, and yeah. Now forgive me if I look like I've just come from the gym, because I pretty much have, so yeah, there's no styled hair today, it's just flat, you know. Pretty basic video, like as if I've just woke up or something. What is going on guys, welcome to this video. My name is Cameron and this is the review for Ultimate Spider-Man issue 84. Now if any of you guys are only just joining us, we've been reviewing every single issue of Ultimate Spider-Man, all the way from the very first issue of issue 1, all the way up to the ending with issue 133 and beyond. Now obviously there's the death of Ultimate Spider-Man and everything like that, but I've already reviewed that, so we will be moving on to the Miles Morales comics after we finish this series, so that's something to look forward to. But of course, for you guys that have been here since the beginning, now we're moving on to Ultimate Spider-Man issue 84. But before we do that, let's recap and see what just happened in the previous issue. So at the end of the previous issue, we saw Black Cat and Spider-Man jump into Hammerhead's house, and they land in the middle of what looks like a battlefield. Literally every single character about to go crazy on one another, and a massive fight is about to take place, and Spider-Man and Black Cat just landed directly in the middle of it. We also had that really cool moment with Moon Knight where we saw his multiple personalities, and I did state in my previous issue review that I thought that the Moon Knight personality was pretty awesome. The fact that there was a Moon Knight personality amongst the other personalities was really cool, so I really liked how that came into it as well. And of course the interaction between Peter Parker and Mary Jane. Peter's recently just broken up with Mary Jane because she can't be trusted in staying away from danger, and of course Spider-Man's life is full of dangers, and so Peter has taken the higher ground and just ended it with Mary Jane. And there's some problems there, but you know, we'll have to wait and see how that turns out in the future comics. So guys, without any further ado, we need to get into this Ultimate Spider-Man issue 84 review, mainly because it definitely kicks off, and Spider-Man and Black Cat, if you remember, are in the middle of this thing. So let's get to it and let's see how that fight turns out. Let's go. Okay, so right off the bat, as you can see, as we are getting into the issue, it is picking directly from where the previous issue left off. To be honest, I think every Ultimate Spider-Man comic picks up directly from where the previous issue left off. But again, that is what this issue is doing, and everybody's just in this room, and I love how the panels are laid out with everybody's names so you can tell who every single character actually is, because there are so many people jam-packed into these pages throughout this entire comic book. So it's gonna get crazy, and something that I absolutely loved about it was how Hammerhead just turned, as he said, the entire room around. All of the people that were there to kill him are now on his side, and of course Black Cat has gone to his side as well. And it's basically just, well, it's just business basically. It's just awesome to see that Spider-Man's just kind of stood there like, does nobody have any morals in this situation? And to be honest, something that I really loved was how Black Cat handled the situation where obviously she likes Spider-Man, but she didn't even hesitate to go over to Hammerhead's side. And I think that is a perfect example of just how Black Cat works in these sorts of situations. It's really brilliant. But what's really strange is that it just makes you like her as a character all that more. Anyway, moving throughout the issue, you can see that Spider-Man has just webbed up the entire room, breaking everybody up from fighting each other, because obviously there's so many characters on pages in this comic that there is just a lot going on, especially when everyone is fighting each other at the same time. And I thought it was really interesting how Spider-Man isn't really too big of a character amongst all of these other guys from their perspective. So when Spider-Man just kind of split the entire room up just because he wanted to, I think it took them quite by surprise, and it was such an awesome thing to see in the panel where everyone was just kind of subdued and Spider-Man was stood in the middle of them saying that's enough. I loved it. As for the humour of this comic, I actually feel like it's represented a lot more coming from Spider-Man throughout this issue compared to usual, and I'm pretty much going to put this down to maybe that's because there's a lot of characters in the pages of these comics and Spider-Man is dealing with a lot of characters all at once. So maybe it's a way for Spider-Man to sort of deal with the situation a little bit better by being sarcastic and pretending that he doesn't care as much. And I really love the attitude that Spider-Man has towards Black Cat and Elektra in this situation, just because he's kind of done with both of these characters and pretty much everybody in the room. He's just fed up of it all, so he stopped everybody and then he's calling the police. It's just really fun to read and see all of these characters, and one of the main things is that you actually like all of these characters. And I think that's a really difficult thing to do, just because there's obviously so many characters in this comic and they're all fighting at the same time and they're all taking place in the same part of the situation. So it's really cool. Now, as you can see on screen, one of my favourite things about this entire comic is the fact that it takes a dramatic twist to the point where you actually feel like Spider-Man has the potential to get seriously hurt in this situation, especially when the comic takes a really dark twist and Moon Knight actually ends up getting stabbed through the chest by Elektra completely out of nowhere. Now, it's actually really crazy because it's a reminder that at the end of the day, Spider-Man is actually in some dangerous situations, and sometimes the outcome can be super dark and drastic to the story, and this is exactly what's happened just now. Moon Knight has just been stabbed through the chest, and as we just saw on screen right there, Hammerhead is actually taking a picture of Moon Knight's face so that he technically owns him and can find him anywhere. And the comic just continues to get darker and darker, with Spider-Man getting the crap beaten out of him by Elektra, and I think this is the moment where you actually feel like Spider-Man is in some real danger, as Spider-Man is making a little bit of a joke, and then out of nowhere he begins to lose the fight and actually gets launched out of a window. And the comic ends with a serious cliffhanger of Spider-Man knocked out on top of the police car, looking crazily hurt. So to be honest, I think one of the most drastic things about this comic is, as I've already said, just how dark it sort of turned the tables. Like, one minute Spider-Man has webbed everybody up, it's all calm and everyone's collected, Spider-Man's minding his own business, and then everything just kicks off and chaos erupts. And it was a wonderful reminder of just how dark and serious these Ultimate Spider-Man comics can actually be when you make yourself too comfortable. So that issue was crazy. I absolutely loved it how Spider-Man was stood in the middle of the room. Nobody really knew who Spider-Man was amongst those guys. Like, they didn't really think of him as a major threat until Spider-Man webbed up the entire room and took control of the situation. I absolutely love that. And then all of a sudden after that, everybody started listening to Spider-Man. Like, all of their attention was drawn on Spider-Man. It was great. And I loved it how Hammerhead sort of realized how much of a threat Spider-Man actually is. As for Black Cat, I thought it was really awesome how she sort of changed over to Hammerhead's side, and even with Spider-Man there, who she currently likes at the minute, even said to him that it's just business, because obviously she wants to take down the Kingpin and Hammerhead is going to do that. And I thought it was really cool as well how Hammerhead turned most of the room around onto his side, especially Elektra as well. She seemed pretty dedicated to Kingpin until Hammerhead doubled her money on sticking on his side, and I thought that was really cool, just how Hammerhead is more of a power player in this, and he really does come across as the gangster type, which of course is what Hammerhead does, and it's just really cool. I really like the Hammerhead character in this Ultimate Spider-Man universe. Pure awesomeness. Now, as for the ending, Spider-Man got beat up pretty bad and actually got launched out of the building and onto a police car, and obviously he's knocked out now, and that was where the issue ended with a cliffhanger. And it's really interesting because there actually is an early Miles Morales comic where Miles actually ends up in the same situation, where he also gets knocked out on top of a car at the end of one of the issues, so that's really interesting just to see that. But I'm more interested to see where it goes with Black Cat, because obviously she still cares about Spider-Man and he's literally just had the crap beaten out of him. And not to mention that part where Hammerhead actually took a picture of Moon Knight's face. Now, that is not a good thing to happen, especially because Moon Knight has not only had his identity revealed to Hammerhead and actually has his picture, but now he's also been stabbed through the chest by Elektra. So Moon Knight isn't really having too much of a good day. But luckily the police are there, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next issue with Black Cat and Hammerhead, and of course Moon Knight pretty much dying, and then of course Spider-Man being knocked out onto the police car. So it's pretty crazy. Guys, let me know what you thought in the comment section below, because I'm really interested to know what you thought about this issue. Also, don't forget I'm doing a giveaway on my Instagram. The link will be in the description for Spider-Man 2. So go check that out, and of course, for more videos like this, hit that like button, let me know what you thought of this comic. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in my next video. See you later.